Honourable Chief Justices, Honourable Ministers, distinguished members of the Judiciary, and all distinguished guests. It is an honour to speak at this closing ceremony today on behalf of the International Development Law Organization, the only global intergovernmental organization exclusively devoted to promoting the rule of law to advance peace and sustainable development. At IDLO, we work to enable governments and empower people to reform laws, strengthen institutions, and increase access to justice. IDLO has been a proud partner of East African judiciaries since 2009, with programs to support the justice sector in Kenya, Rwanda, South Sudan, Tanzania, Burundi, and Uganda. We have ongoing work in Kenya, Rwanda, Somalia, and Uganda, and I would like to express my thanks to the judiciaries of these partner countries for their leadership and support. I'm also appreciative of the great collaboration we enjoy with the East African Community Secretariat and with the judicial education institutions of the region to promote the rule of law. It is wonderful to see how the annual meetings of the Forum of East African Chief Justices and the East African Judicial Education Committee have grown into a vibrant forum for knowledge sharing and dialogue on emerging legal, jurisprudential, and development issues. This year's gathering also convenes Chief Justices from IGAD member states that are not part of the East African community, and some of you have also participated, as I have, in the two other conferences during this East Africa Justice Week, the Regional Conference on Land and Conflict and the International Association of Women Judges. It is through partnerships and exchanges like these that we will be able to advance our common objective of ensuring access to justice for all by making judicial systems more inclusive, accessible, effective, and efficient. As justices, you know better than anyone the power of the law to transform communities and societies. And one of the key themes during this symposium, and indeed during all the events during this East Africa Justice Week, was the importance of bringing justice closer to the people. And IDLO is proud to have partnered with many of you in efforts to ensure that the law is more inclusive and accessible for all people. An important way to do this is to provide additional channels for people to access justice. In Uganda, for instance, we've been helping to support the speedy resolution of disputes through alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. These mechanisms are grounded in mediation and attempt to resolve disputes through restorative rather than adversarial solutions. We're also helping to provide legal aid to vulnerable persons and have ensured access to justice and information services for over 16,000 people, and of those, more than 4,000 were able to successfully conclude their disputes through mediation. And these cases were concluded within 3 to 6 weeks of reporting. And by comparison, the resolution of a similar civil case may take much, much longer, as you know, through regular court processes. In Kenya, IDLO has supported the rollout of court-annexed mediation in 36 courts. This mediation is offered at no cost, and as of June this year, over 6,000 cases were referred to mediation, with more than 2,000 solved to the satisfaction of both parties. Another important priority is protecting the rights of those who have traditionally been excluded from justice processes. And as we were reminded during the conference of the International Association of Women Judges, a specific focus on women's access to justice is essential. In Somalia, IDLO has been promoting women's access to justice through alternative dispute resolution centres in partnership with ministries of justice. The centres, which apply the customary GIA system, provide free dispute resolution services while referring more complex or criminal cases to formal courts. Particular attention is devoted to cases of gender-based violence, and female paralegals accompany violent survivors to the police and the courts to ensure that they obtain the medical and legal assistance they need. To date, the ADR centres, supported by IDLO, have solved about 5,000 disputes and reached more than 10,000 justice seekers, and about 50% of those cases were raised by women. In Kenya, IDLO is supporting the judiciary to develop policies and mechanisms aimed at building a gender-sensitive culture within the judiciary and ensuring the justice system's increased responsiveness to the needs not only of women, but also children. And in Rwanda, IDLO is enhancing the capacity of the customary abunzi mechanisms to strengthen the resolution of land-related disputes while promoting greater respect for the rights of women and girls. An issue that I know is on all of your minds is achieving greater efficiency and effectiveness in judicial administration, and this is another area where we are pleased to partner with you. For example, with the technical support of IDLO, the judiciary of Uganda has revised its court's rules and guidelines to improve efficiency in service delivery and address case backlogs. The rules also provide for more transparency and predictability, and these reforms were carried out in conjunction with key policy changes, such as the gradual phasing out of the session system and the rollout of daily hearings of criminal cases and implementation of case backlog strategies, and a regular interface between High Court circuits, divisions, and monitoring committees. And I'm happy to report that as a result of these reforms, the time required to solve a criminal case went from an average of over 2,000 days to 365 days or less. And in Kenya, IDLO is supporting efforts to reduce the case backlog in the Commercial and Tax Division of the High Court. The Judiciary's Performance Management Report ranked that division as the best performing division of the High Court, with a case clearance rate of 128%. And as I don't need to tell you, this represents a very significant achievement. When commercial disputes are resolved in a timely manner, finances that were previously tied up in court can be released back into the economy, and investor confidence increases. IDLO has also supported the establishment of small claims courts, with a median conclusion rate for claims of 37 days. These are just some of the examples of the great work being done in the region. In conclusion, let me congratulate you on the remarkable progress made by the judiciaries in the East Africa region in fulfilling the legitimate expectation of every citizen to be treated justly. But as I know you all agree, we must continue to address remaining barriers preventing access to justice. Judiciaries play a pivotal role in overcoming exclusion and ensuring that everyone, especially women and girls and vulnerable and marginalized groups, are able to understand and access judicial systems to claim their rights and protect their interests. Your work also contributes to building trust and strengthening the social contract. There is tremendous scope for us to learn from experiences and expertise around the region and across the world, and to use this knowledge as a catalyst to promote the vision of a world where everyone lives with dignity and equality under the rule of law. Thank you for sharing your important insights on the challenges justice systems continue to face and promising solutions, from digital transformation to alternative dispute resolution. It is now time to turn this inspiration into action at local, national, and regional levels. My colleagues and I at IDLO are committed to partnering with you as you move forward with this critical work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Beagle. May I kindly request that the speeches to follow be brief, because we are running against time. May I kindly invite Honorable Dr. Peter Mathuki, the Secretary General of the East African Community, to come and give his remarks.
Your Excellency, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, the first Deputy Prime Minister and Minister in charge of East African Community Affairs, Honorable Esikeri Nibigira, who is the Chair of the Council of Ministers, Honorable Norbert Mao, Minister for Justice, Republic of Uganda, Your Lordship Chief Justices of the partner states of the East African Community, Honorable Attorneys General, judges of the East African Court of Justice, my good brother, Judge President of the East African Court of Justice, Justice Nelson Kayobera, judges from all and members of diplomatic corps, diplomatic friends and development partners, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, let me take, on behalf of the Community Secretariat, thank you most sincerely for getting time to come and be with us, but also officiate this event. This is an activity of the East African community organized by East African Court of Justice, which is one of the organs of the East African community. We know your presence and your continuous commitment to keep on talking about regional integration and Pan-Africanism is what has driven you to be here. It's because of the love of regional integration, Your Excellency. And therefore we thank you. We don't take your presence for granted, because that's how we take you, Your Excellency, as the father of regional integration. And we continue, guiding and seeking your guidance on matters of regional integration, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, as a community and the guidance of the Council of Ministers, we have decided that we take the community to the people. And that is why we are here today as the East African Court of Justice, so that we can interact with the citizens who are the owners of the community, Your Excellency. As we meet here, the Parliament of the East African Legislative Assembly is also currently meeting in Kigali, Rwanda, taking again the community to the people. Your Excellency, last month we had the East African Expo Tourism in Burundi, and again that was taking community to the people in Burundi. Your Excellency, we will be taking the parliamentary games of all the members of parliament across the region to Juba, South Sudan next month. Your Excellency, next month in December, between 8th and 18th, we shall be holding the Juakali, the MSMEs expos here in Kampala, and we are working closely with Mama Kadaga, who is very much hands-on, and through her we shall be requesting Your Excellency to come at that particular time and officiate. We'll be having exhibitors from all the 7 partner states of East Africa, all the way from DRC, and they will all be here in Kampala, Your Excellency. And this is in response to your clarion call of taking the community to the people, but also making sure that we look for local solutions to our local challenges, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, during the Independence Day of Uganda, you raised 2 important questions. And the first question that Your Excellency you raised was, after looking at the global economic trade and how Africa is trading with the rest of the world, you asked a question: are there professors of economics in Africa? And you went further to ask a second question: is the political class in Africa determined to build a Latin America in Africa or United States of Africa in Africa? And you actually said this ought to have been answered from independence, Your Excellency. After looking at those questions, Your Excellency, and looking at reflecting on the notes of economics, I realized, Your Excellency, you are right to say that the professors of economics possibly that we have are the classical economists, not the modern economists, who should now be talking about the prosperity economics. And prosperity economics is what you've been preaching to all of us, Your Excellency. When we come here as a community, for example, we hold an activity to this hotel, the hotelier will be able to pay workers. The workers will go home and buy bread and milk. And the producers of bread and milk will be encouraged to produce more. And that is the economics of prosperity, Your Excellency. We have been learning from you, and we look forward to learning more, Your Excellency, from yourself. Your Excellency, the theme of this conference, which is transforming access to justice in the East African community, is geared towards moving towards what we call diplomatic justice. Is listening to people more, encouraging people to listening as disputes and trying to see whether we would have alternative ways of resolving disputes in our region. And that would be one way of trying to look for local solutions to our challenging, Your Excellency. The community is expanding, Your Excellency. This year, as a summit, you admitted DRC as the seventh partner states. And you further directed the Council and Secretariat to expedite admission of Somalia. Your Excellency, I want to report through the Council that I was able to interact with His Excellency President Hassan Sheikh of Somalia this week. And they're very much committed to join the East African community. They have already put a team in place that will be working with all of us to ensure that Somalia joins. And that will be a way of saying our region will be bigger, will be stronger. As we do this, business and trade volumes will increase. And therefore, there shall be trade disputes. And that's why the extension of the mandate of the TORs of the East African Court of Justice has been extended to deal with trade issues. And therefore, I urge the judicial fraternity to help us come up with very direct and practical alternative ways of resolving disputes that will make sure that our prosperity in the region grows, but also to increase the trade volumes. Intra-EAC trade currently at below 15%. With all these systems working together, it is possible, Your Excellency, to make it possibly to 50% in the next 3-4 years, if we all work together, Your Excellency. And therefore, we appreciate your call and efforts to govern East Africa built on strength of economically and socially integrated and politically federated regional blocs that fuels the zeal to strengthen our systems and our institutions. Your Excellency, in conclusion, I want to assure you, the community, we are doing our best under the guidance of the Council. We shall continue being available to the people and working for the people and listening to them. And that's why we chose to be doing activities in all the partner states of the East African community, Your Excellency. As I conclude, I want to assure you again, we will work closely with the Council, with the Parliament, and with other systems to ensure the court, the East African Court of Justice, is granted administrative and financial autonomy as directed by the summit. Granting the court financial and administrative autonomy will not only guarantee the independence of the court as it executes its mandate, as is shown in the treaty, but it will also give them necessary resources that will enable them to do their work, which is very important. And this, I hope, is not only at the regional level, but also at the partner states level. We remain committed. We shall be listening to Your Excellencies for your guidance. And I want to assure you, the Judge President himself, we are present, and the Speaker, we work closely to ensure that much as, of course, we are independent organs, but it is one community with the same objective and one vision, and working for the people of East Africa. I thank Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Honorable SG. I want to kindly re-emphasize the need to shorten our speeches. May I kindly request the Honorable Justice Nestor Kayobera, the President of the East African Court of Justice, to come and make his remarks.
The guest of honor, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, their lordships, the Chief Justices from EAC partner states, I recognize the Lordship, Alphonse Owini-Dolo, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Uganda, Honorable Chan Rick Madut, the Chief Justice from the Republic of South Sudan, my brother Emmanuel Gateretse, the Chief Justice from the Republic of Burundi, the Honorable Martha Koome, my sister, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya. There was also the Chief Justice of the Republic of Somalia, who was our special invitees, but also there was the President of the African Court on Human and People's Rights, the Honorable Ambassador, the Right Honorable Rebecca Aritwala Kadaga, the First Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of EAC Affairs, of the Republic of Uganda, my brother, the Honorable Ambassador Ezekiel Nibigira, the chairperson of EAC Council of Ministers, and the Minister of EAC, Youth, Sports and Culture from the Republic of Burundi, the Honorable Norbert Mao, the Minister of Justice, Constitutional Affairs from this good Republic of Uganda, my brother, Honorable Peter Mathuki, the Secretary General of the EAC, the Honorable Kiyowa Kiwanuka, my brother, the Attorney General of the Republic of Uganda, the famous litigant in our court, who has been appearing in person in our court, the Honorable Judges of the East African Court of Justice, and the judges from EAC partner states, members of EYALA, and the members of national parliaments present, members of diplomatic corps, His Excellency Ambassador Jan Beagle, Director General, International Development Law Organization, Judicial Officer from EAC partner states, and the senior government officers, the staff from EAC and from East Africa Court of Justice, members of media, ladies and gentlemen, I will be brief. As this second annual East Africa Judicial Conference comes to the end, I wish to once again express my gratitude on behalf of the East Africa Court of Justice to the government of the Republic of Uganda for tremendous support and collaboration in making this conference a success. Besides, Your Excellency, we highly appreciate the hospitality accorded to us. In a special manner, I take this opportunity to thank you, Your Excellency, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and the member of the Summit of Heads of State, for accepting to host this second annual East Africa Court of Justice Judicial Conference and the East Africa Court of Justice November Court Sessions. Our court will be here in Uganda from 2nd November up to 2nd December. We will be here in the Commercial Court of Uganda, hearing and determining our matters. Your Excellency, we feel honored for having secured your valuable time to physically be present at the closure of this conference. This shows the value you have for the East African community, but also for our court in particular. Asante sana mzee. Allow me to take this opportunity on behalf of the East African Court of Justice to thank all our partners for the support according to our court before and during this conference. To our esteemed invitees, we have no words to express our gratitude for honoring our invitation. Please accept our heartfelt appreciations. We equally appreciate all the presenters, moderators, and panelists for their excellent presentations that have offset conversations to strengthen the capacities of the judges, judicial officers, and court users in responding to various challenges faced by justice seekers. Your Excellency, this second annual judicial conference has been a groundbreaking conference which indeed afforded participants an avenue to share knowledge, skills, best practices, and the challenges on various issues revolving transformation of access to justice in East Africa. We appreciate the brilliant contributions and the recommendations that have been put forward by our distinguished participants during the presentations. I strongly believe the recommendations will enhance transformation of access to justice and the rule of law in our region. The East African Court of Justice has existed for the past 21 years. The court's growth has recorded uncountable successes, to mention a few: increasing number of cases filed, developed jurisprudence, increased visibility and access to the court through sub-registry offices, development of case management and recording systems, and the digital advancements. Despite the achievements, the East African Court of Justice has over the years experienced limited and inadequate budgetary allocation, budget cuts, slow disbursements of funds, ad hoc services of the judges, regardless of the increasing activities of the court, which have over the years impacted negatively on the overall performance of the court. It is indeed regrettable that there has been delay in establishing and operationalizing the court's administration and financial autonomy of the court, even after the respect bill has been adopted by the Council of Ministers in the past 6 years. I salute my brother, Secretary General, for the commitment. We appeal to the EAC Chair Council of Ministers, who has been with us since the beginning of our conference, and more specifically to you, Your Excellency, the President and member of the Summit of the Heads of State, to take this matter in your hands in finalizing this bill, which has been for 6 years in place, because this one we assist the citizen of East Africa. The court budget needs to be relooked at. Sufficient budget allocation will enable the court to effectively and efficiently administer justice to the East Africans and to contribute to the regional integration by ensuring adherence to justice, the rule of law, and the fundamental rights and the freedoms in accordance to the treaty. EAC partner states need to understand that the role of the court is a key for the maintenance and achievement of a political and a socio-economic development for any community. With these few words, I wish to once again express our gratitude, Your Excellency, and wish those who will be traveling travel mercy. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Honorable Justice Nestor Kayobera. May I kindly request the Honorable Ambassador Ezekiel Nibijira, the chairperson of the East African EAC Council of Ministers, to come and give his remarks.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, honorables here present, ministers, EAC Secretary General, President of the Court, and all judges. For the sake of time, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. First and foremost, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, receive warm greetings from your counterpart, the President of the Republic of Burundi, and the chair of the East African Community. Second, I wish to portray my sincere satisfaction of participating in the second annual ESCJ Judicial Conference as the chair of Council of our community. Third, I wish to say that at this time, it is difficult for me to deliver a speech. I am here to listen and reflect the words from the wisdom of the President of the Republic of Uganda, our Muzehe, the elder in our region, the father of our regional integration. You are our real Muzehe, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, you are such an inimitable high personality, an inimitable resource in our community. I am sure from your words of wisdom, we will continue to break the records as a community in having an East African Court of Justice that continues to deliver with higher standards. With the few words, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, I beg to submit. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson of the Council. May I kindly request the Honorable Norbert Mao, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs of the Republic of Uganda, to give us his remarks.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and I beg to be spared the long protocol, all the distinguished leaders in our judicial system, distinguished guests and participants at the conference just ended. I'm told short people make long speeches. I hope to disapprove that today. I start by congratulating the leaders of the East African Court of Justice upon concluding this important week of reflection. Congratulations to you all. Your Excellency, let me inform the participants who are now bidding us farewell that last Monday during Cabinet, an interesting announcement was made that from Monday next week there will be Swahili lessons in Cabinet. Not many people are looking forward to those lessons because it's going to be a challenge. It's good that the media will not be there. Otherwise, Ugandans would really be entertained as we struggle to catch up, to be up to speed, to master a language which should be the common thread of communication. I think in a few years, those who may be laughing at us now should come back. Your Excellency, you are one of those who presided on the rebirth of the East African community. Last week, in fact, early this week, you put a question to the women judges. What is the contribution of the judiciary to the prosperity of the long-suffering African people? The East African Court of Justice is but one of the pillars of the institution on which we depend for integration. The others are the Summit, Council of Ministers, and the East African Legislative Assembly. We have to assume that democracy is the basis of these institutions. But I have to quickly add that the democracy we are talking about is constitutional democracy, in which the supreme law of the land provides a form to the fundamental structure of the national state, and I believe at a future date, the supranational state, which we will call East Africa Community. The test, therefore, as to whether these institutions are democratic is to look at the substance rather than the form of the democracy. In chemistry, we learned that water consists of 2 molecules of hydrogen and 1 molecule of oxygen. But water can exist in a solid form as ice, a liquid form as the water we drink, and in a gaseous form as vapor. We have got now to consider the question of justice. We have to focus on the essence of justice. Justice is not an end in itself. It is a means to an end. The forms of the institutions in which justice is served vary, but the essence of justice is that all citizens deserve the social conditions that will ensure the full exploitation and development of their potential. An individual whose mind is uncultivated, like a garden full of weeds, a body ravaged by disease, and who lives in a society without security, cannot therefore enjoy what we call justice in its true sense. This requires the courts to always align their considerations of particular cases by basing their decisions on what, in their judgment, is the citizens' sense of justice. On the part of the citizens, they have to know that at the end of the day, justice is really about balancing rights and responsibilities. This balancing act can only be possible if we exercise our powers of practical reason in forming, reforming, and pursuing what we believe to be right, in this case, the common good. Your Excellency, when you assumed the leadership of this country, you found what I would call a pseudo-welfare state on its knees. And I wish to briefly talk about your contribution to justice in the broader sense, outside the courtrooms. Now, what you have been preaching for long is what I would refer to as a property-owning democracy, which is basically competitive markets through which ownership of wealth can spread. This will prevent a small part of society from controlling the economy and eventually the politics. What you have been preaching is not about redistributing income, but to ensure widespread ownership of productive assets and the development of human capital. In other words, citizens with educated abilities and practical skills. You have contributed to justice through the universal primary education and the university secondary education. So the idea is not just to assist the poorer, but rather to empower citizens to take charge of their affairs and to participate in a cooperative manner on the basis of respect and equality under conditions created by government. These days in Uganda, we are talking about the parish development model. A few days ago, you were talking to the women judges about moving Ugandan peasants away from subsistence economy to the money economy. I believe this is part of justice. So in this pseudo-welfare state that I talked about, the goal is that nobody should fall below a certain standard of life. The World Bank calls it the poverty line. In other words, as long as anybody can live on $2 and above, it is okay. But what about creating wealth instead of insisting on the bottom line? In what you have been preaching, the basic institutions put in the hands of citizens, generally not just a few, the productive means to be fully involved in prospering. Wealth is therefore dispersed because the ownership of capital and other resources is more broadly spaced. I believe in Uganda we shall reach a tipping point. Some of the things that we have to mention here are the constitutional provisions relating to land. In Uganda, land belongs to the people. You, Your Excellency, have been at the forefront of crusading for the rights of tenants. These are the conditions that translate into true justice, the conditions that spur prosperity. Finally, there is the equality of opportunity. when we talk about equality in the Constitution, it should be about equality of opportunity to stay alive. A country that cannot immunize its babies cannot be said to be providing equality of opportunity. A country that cannot provide health services and food security cannot be said to be providing equality of opportunity or even the right to life, no matter how lengthy the provisions on human rights are in their constitution. I urge our distinguished judicial officers, while making your decisions, don't forget about our context, the historical conditions. Our traditions are also very important. Many times, because of our Western education, we undermine our traditions as a cake. But as a practicing lawyer, I've witnessed cases where an accused person has changed his plea on account of the strength of traditional beliefs. One such case was when the villagers came to court and said they would go back home and settle the matter traditionally. And settling the matter traditionally, in this case it was a murder case and the accused was denying. It meant going back to the village and drinking a potent mix of herbs. And the belief was that if you were innocent, the herbs would not kill you. If you are guilty, the herbs would kill you. Upon hearing what the villagers were resorting to, the accused person begged the judge to change his plea to guilty. This means our traditional beliefs really do matter. We have also to think about the institutions that support the judiciary. The judiciary is not in isolation. It is part of the whole government system. And of course, the social forces. Your Excellency, you are the only member of the East African Summit here. I've had pleas for independence. I believe today you will provide assurance that you will continue to provide conditions that guarantee that questions in dispute can be fairly and reasonably decided. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Norbert Mao. May I kindly request the Right Honorable Rebecca Litwala Kadaga, the First Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of EAC Affairs, Republic of Uganda, to make her remarks.
Your Excellency, President